one person was from a finance background.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you all for joining us today, both physically, and then there are participants who have joined us virtually. So thank you all who have joined us today on a very important discussion and a day when we are having an interactive session with Mr. Jia-Rong. He is, of course, the MD APAC for ICANN and has multiple hats, and it's very important that we are able to have Jia and, of course, Liana today joining us. And Nitin, who has taken up the role, I think it's the third day, Nitin, for you?
Yes.
Yeah, of India Head and ICANN. And of course, the dignitaries who join us today, CEO Nixie, Anil Jainji, thank you, sir, for joining us, and our co-chair, Dr. Ajay Data, who of course is the chairman for UASG ICANN, and also, of course, in his personal capacity, when we allow him to work, he's also the CEO of Data Engineers Global Limited. So thank you all for joining us today, and thank you the participants who have joined us, because the subject which we are going to talk about today, the multilingual internet, and more importantly, the universal acceptance, has been familiar to many of you, but maybe also new to others. So we feel as FICCI that we have been able to jointly work with our supporters and the partners to take the journey of universal acceptance. I would just say that as part of, I'll just give you a little brief. So myself is, of course, Sariq Guliani, and I head the FICCI Indian Language Initiative, apart from other things on the technology side. And as part of FICCI, what we decided was that there was a language initiative which we had launched in 2017 with the Honorable MOS that time, in consultation with the government. We call Indian Language Internet Alliance. While we were discussing about the languages and the technology, one of the important components which emerged was universal acceptance. That was back in 2018 when we started having a discussions on that. And finally, in 2019, with the support of the UASG group, the leadership under ICANN, and the support from the ICANN and our partners, Nixie and others, we were able to start the local initiative chapter of UA, which is like which is basically the community-based chapter. And we are very thankful to the people who have joined us today. Many of you, I'm sure many of you must be the members of the community. And if not, then please feel free to join. It's free community, and you can join and you can participate, you can contribute, and you can learn. So that's what FICCI facilitates is. FICCI is a chamber body, apex chamber body, which is 95-year-old body. And we, of course, work across various sectors of the economy. We've been, since because of the ingrained nature of FICCI, we, of course, take the neutral approach on the various subjects which FICCI takes it up, be it under policy advocacy or any discussion topic. So similarly, the reason for this platform, like the ones which we have formed, is that we want the members to come over to discuss rather than working in silos, collaborate and contribute for the growth of our country. So we have been thankful that there are various stakeholders, be it industry, academia, or global technical fraternity, definitely the government. We have been working with them across, be it on the federal side of the state government, or the central government, or at the state government level. We, as part of the UA initiative, apart from Nixie, the UA ambassadors, and the whole community has been doing it. We have been doing various kind of activities, be it the technical awareness workshops, capacity building, journal awareness, case studies, creating repository, or hand-holding for our companies to become a UA ready. And we need more of your support to understand the subject or to make your, I would say, businesses UA ready. From the government side also, I'm sure Mr. Anajanji would speak much on that part, but a lot of thing has been done and the government is taking the subject on a very deeper manner. Soon you would also get to know about the various announcements which would be made because it's something which is there. So I would just say that like when the internet was introduced and people thought whether we should be part of it or not, UA is something in making now. If you miss the bus, it is something you will eventually do it, but maybe at a later stage. So it's better you start in the starting when the revolution is going to start. So that's a thing which, as part of the whole group and the stakeholders here, trying to talk to you and trying to communicate it to you. As part of India, we know we have many assets, apart from about 1.4 billion population, of course, which gives a lots of diversity with 22 official languages and more than 1,600 dialects. We have very strong numbers in terms of the overall digital landscape of our country. We are the second largest telecom market, more than, I think, around 1,167 telecom subscribers. I mean, the teledensity at rural is above 100, the urban is above 100, but rural is also 60% now. So we have things which are growing up very fast. Highest consumption of data, on a very, very high consumption of data per month by the wireless subscriber, the very strong penetration of the smartphones, and very, very important initiatives being done by the government, like Digital India, Startup India, and others. So these are the things which definitely creates a right ecosystem for a country like India to come on the picture of the globe, and of course become, I would say, start becoming on the process of a UA ready and start contributing so that we set an example for the global world. With these words, I would now request our co-chair, Dr. Ajay Teta, to kindly deliver his opening remarks. Thank you all for joining, and thank you all the dignitaries for being part of this discussion.
Thank you very much, Sarika ji, for organizing this very important meeting, because we rarely have some very important multilingual multi-stakeholder organization called ICANN leaders here. We have Jia-Rong today, who is visiting India and is fortunate to have an interaction and dialogue with us. And the topic which we chosen is universal acceptance. And it becomes important because there is a very big divide in the world. And I'm going to set the context for all of you today in this presentation of a few minutes. And because then we will follow up the discussions and set some queries in your mind, set some question marks in your mind, which could be answered during the panel discussion, which we would have. Next slide, please. So what is universal acceptance? We hear that this universal acceptance is not about accepting a person or accepting a caste or a religion or a language. It is about accepting the domain names and email addresses. Domain names and email addresses are available in various technology point of view, long top level domain name, short top level domain name, IDNs, so on and so forth. So there are approximately 1,200 top level domain names. What is top level domain name for those people who do not know? जो right side के बाद में dot होता है, the dot on the right side, like .com, and India like I have .in, that is known as top level domain name, and the left side of the dot is called as second level domain name. So when we talk about top level domain name, there are around 1,200 such. You will be surprised, we have not heard about them, but they exist, they are live, they are active. And of course, there is a top level domain name. So there are domain names to that effect, to that top level domain name. So for example, .photography, .accountant, .doctor. In the similar line, .com. There are email addresses available in the world on those domains and top level domain names. So the email addresses also will come with not just .com, .net or .in. They could have ajay@ca.accountant. For example, this kind of domain names are possible. And this is what creates a issue, which I'm going to discuss with you in the future slides. So when we have to understand a little bit of history. If you can remove this slide, we can create a little bit of history that what is next slide with it. What happened when the internet was starting, then there were assumptions by the software developers. And what were the assumptions? Because there were only 7 top-level domain names that time. So they assumed that only internet could have only these 7 of them, not 1200 of them, which I just talked to you. So what they assumed that this could be only 3 characters after the dot. So they made a software to accommodate this thing, rest everything is invalid. This is one, only A to Z could be there. So you could see no top level domain name could have anything except A to Z. That was another assumption. And these were not the rules given by the ICANN or any agreement. These were the assumptions by the software developers. You can write only left to right. That was also assumption, because they were A to Z. So naturally A to Z you can write from left to right. There will be no numbers, as we still have, it holds true, and there will be only 7 of them. But this obviously changed with time. Now there were not 3, there were possibility of 2 characters, like we have .in. Whole world, every country code in the world has their own ISO code, like .in we have, and corresponding to that, there were top level domain names given to each country, and .in is like that, .us to US, .it to Italy, so on and so forth. So now the rule of 3 characters got broken, and applications were rejecting those domain names which were valid. Then the another rule got broken when ICANN opened up that no, you can have not just limited to .3 characters, you can go up to 63 characters. So imagine you can have a top level domain name of up to 63 characters, including .64 characters. You have 64 characters in the top level domain name, including the dot. Imagine now all the validations which were designed in the software rejecting those valid top level domain names or domain names, and then corresponding email addresses. Next slide, please. So, but that's okay. Technically, something is failing, something is not working. But why we are here, even if this problem exists, how it matters to me is something we need to understand. Is there something for me? Am I getting impacted? Why this is so important that FICCI is holding a discussion around it? Why it is important in India? Why it is important for a student, for a technical developer, for a business, for government? Why it is important? So this is an extremely critical component in the future of internet and the way the countries are progressing. If you are a developer, you have to learn now to change that old code and design a new code to accommodate these 1200 top level domain names and the corresponding email addresses. That's a very important aspect. System administrators need to support that now, because there are different kind of top level domain names and email addresses which are not just in English but also in any language of the person's choice. And I'm not stealing the thunder of Jia-Rong here, who's going to talk more about his favorite subject of IDM, that we have now domain name in a language of person's choice. And I'm going to show those examples in the next slide. Government, now back. Next, governments have to obviously make themselves reachable. Imagine today we have mygov.in as a site. If somebody does not know English, how does he reach us to that website? If he is not aware about what is mygov. And if you start noticing the newspaper ads today, you will see the full page ad in Hindi, but there are 2 things still in English: that email address and the domain name. It doesn't make sense, right? Why the whole content is in Hindi and these 2 characters in English? Could they be changed in Hindi? And if this goes, then it reaches to the person who does not know English at all, and will be able to reach to mygov.in more easier than what is he's offered to right now. And the trust. So let me address 30 seconds with trust. Let us take an example with all of you. If you receive the FICCI invitation today in Chinese language, with the exact the same meaning, same content, but in Chinese, will you trust that email? It is exactly same. It came from FICCI. It has the same content. It came from Sarika, but you will not trust it. Why will you not trust it? Because it is not your language. The similar notion goes in the person's mind who does not know English. It's a similar notion. No matter what you are talking, he doesn't trust it. He has a doubt on it and he does not respond. Hence, it is important to break that barrier of languages for people. Businesses losing customers because now technically it is possible to have those languages, have those domain names, have those email addresses, and people are going to have these email addresses. And Rajasthan, government of Rajasthan has started providing the free Hindi email address to the citizens. There are almost 7 million Hindi email addresses in Rajasthan right now. Imagine if they want to become a customer of Aadhaar, for example, or any bank, for example, or Facebook or Amazon, any, can they sign up? Answer is no, because they are not considered valid in those portals. And that's exactly the universal acceptance issue. So you, as a UASG, which is a global group of volunteers with almost 700 volunteers globally, including the Apple, Microsoft, Google, all the top companies in the world who make technologies, frameworks are part of this group trying to solve this problem. And we did the study. Is it really something meaningful, or we are just thinking like that? So there was a study conducted around 4 years before, which concluded that almost 10 billion opportunities of universal acceptance alone is there for people to follow. So if you are a developer, if you are a system administrator, if you are a business holder, if you are participating in a government, this is for all of you. This is not just for one part of the stakeholder. Next slide, please. So it's a very important and very important slide, and I love that slide because it covers the entire UA umbrella. This is what the UA is all about. You have the example of short top level new ASCII domain name. You have the long top level domain name, and you have the IDN. And these domain names are live, by the way. This is not something which we are talking about as just an example. These are all live domain names, and there are corresponding examples. You all understand Hindi, I believe. So you can see my email address as ajay@data.bharat. If you can type from your mobile and send me an email, it will come to me. And if you are in a corporate, if you are in a government and you have your private email address from your own domain name, try sending that email to me, maybe after, before, whenever you want to, and try out whether your software is UA ready, whether your application is UA ready. Can you make a customer? If it is not, you have a bug. You can't make me a customer. And like that, there are going to be billion people who will have these kind of email addresses in future. And the last one, which is an Arabic email address. This is written from right to left. So all the email addresses which you have seen on top are written left to right. This is written right to left because Arabic is written right to left. And this is another complication in your softwares to be dealt with, that they are able to, there is no rejection because it is right to left script. It should be accepted well. So these are the examples. So you can't see these 5. Can you please remove that menu? Take it on the top now. So there are 5 pillars of UA. Accept, validate, process, store, and display. Let me take an example to tell. If you come to a FICCI website and you want to register for a newsletter, there will be, of course, a question to form to fill where you will enter your email address. Will it allow you to type your email address in that box in Hindi? Consider my email address as ajay@data.bharat. Will it allow me to type? Some boxes will not even allow you to type Hindi. They say, okay, this is not allowed. It is allowed only A to Z, as I showed the example. So accept, it failed. So let us say it passes. It allows me to type in, and I say submit. It validates. Will it validate it? Okay. It will fail. If it passes, it's okay. Then it will process, because it must process it to register me as a newsletter subscriber. It should store in a database and should display it as a successful registration or wherever it is required. If it passes all 5 pillars, then only it is universal acceptance ready software. Otherwise, you have a bug to solve. You have a problem to solve. And that is where the discussion we are going to do today about this entire pillar and the examples and what it takes to do it. We have very knowledgeable people sitting in this room. We have ambassadors here. Harish is our ambassador, Akshat, who worked with NBGP. Let me take 30 seconds to tell you about NBGP also in this context. Neo Brahmi Generation Panel created rules for all our scripts of India, all 22 official languages, to get into the root zone so that when the ICANN announces the new registration of top level domain names, Mr. BC Jain can have .jain in Hindi as a top level domain name. So all Indians today, while we are talking today, are enabled, will be incapable when the new GTLD round comes in to register the top level domain name in their language, in their choice of word, the way they want to. This is what NBGP did. I was fortunate to be part of that team, and so as Akshat, and we were 70 of us, we worked together. So we hold your questions, we will move in that action. Next slide, please. So we can skip that. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So I think we wanted you to experience the EAI. So if you are interested to experience what is Hindi email address, on a Bangla email address, on Arabic email address, this is available to you to try it out so that you can get an email address of your choice and try in your own softwares, whether you are UA ready or not. So get a Hindi email address or an Arabic email address or an Urdu email address, whatever email address you want to, free, and try out the email address in your softwares and applications so that you know whether you are UA ready or not, and make changes what is required to accept them, because your customers are going to have the similar email address. Next slide, please. Next slide. So this is next slide. So this is last slide, and I think Sarika, this is we have to add here the FICCI ILI contact people. So if you have an email address, please announce it at some point of time so that people join our local initiative. But if you want to join the global working group of UA, here are the contact details. You have my email address, you have the email address, and FICCI ILI has a local chapter here. If you are interested to become part of the UA and contribute and get guided, please take part. This is open, no rejection policy. It is anybody can participate, anybody can join in, and it's only for volunteers. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Data, for setting up the tone, taking us through what UA is all about and why it is important. And of course, I would have now Mr. Anil Jain and Jia-Rong, of course, taking up the role. So I won't speak much on the UA now, but definitely for the people, like I mentioned, you have received the email address. My team would, of course, put up the thing here. We have a registration link where you can join the community. It's free of cost, and you can just participate there. So that's very, very, very important. It's all available on the FICCI-ILI.in, but Vidit, you may like to announce it later, the full details, so that they can just note it down. And we're more than happy to support you in that process. If you have any queries from the government also, we can just talk to them and get back to you in that part also. Any help you require we are more than happy to do that. So, and like what Dr. Data has talked about, many of you would be more interested to understand in deeper. There is a training session which is being organized today itself on multilingual internet in UA for developers. Akshat is, of course, taking up the session along with us. So we request you to kindly stay back for the session. Many of you would have registered. Those who want to, after hearing our experts today, are most welcome to join us there. It will be happening here in FICCI itself, post-lunch. So now I request Mr. Anil Kumar Jainji, CEO for NIXI. Sir, what's the government's view? What do you think with respect to UA landscape for India? We request for your special remarks.
Thank you, Sarika. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you, Jia, for coming to India and sharing the stage with us, and now setting up the contest for promoting the multilingual internet in the world. basically, if we see this, we always say that if we communicate effectively, either with somebody within family or outside family, we feel more comfortable and we are able to speak from heart in case we speak with mother tongue. And as internet is going to become an integral part, or it has become an integral part of all of us, I think it is logical that the languages should also be part of this digital India journey. We are going ahead with that. Just to inform the audience who are on site and online both, that 82% of we Indians do not communicate in English. So the community which is talking in English are actually a minority. Although we have more than 840 million plus people using broadband, but most of the people who do not communicate in English, they are either using that broadband for watching movies, listening songs, or maybe some YouTube videos. But the internet is the knowledge base, plethora of knowledge which is there to upgrade the society, the community, and the countries for the next phase of life. So it is very important. Second information is that around more than 60% of global population do not speak English. So in case we have to actually bring each and every citizen of this world on internet, multilingual internet is the answer to this. And I'm very happy that the communities around the world are working together. They have realized this particular contest and they are working seriously on involving those group of people also in internet revolution. Now, as far as India is concerned, Government of India is committed on multilingual. You must have heard Prime Minister speaking about involving language in government transactions, involving language in developing the platforms for the future, making it possible for everybody to transact and work in their own language. Government of India has started a group called Multilingual Internet Group, which is working to advise government to frame the policies on acceptance of multilingual internet, which include multiple facets. One facet, what Ajay Data has spoken right now, is about the universal acceptance, which covers domain and email addresses. The other facet, of course, is when we have to enter the data inside the digital device. The digital device can be anything: laptop, desktop, mobile, even these days, the watches, the device at your home. We need something to enter in the local language in case we are talking about multilingual internet. So we have seen in the past that mobiles are now available in your own language. You can select the language, you can start inputting your information in mobile in your own language. Similarly, work is going on in other computing devices like computers, laptops, and other devices. There is a work which is going on about operating systems and applications, especially the social media, which is very popular, to be available in local languages. And you must have seen that the major social medias, they are able to come up to that standard and they are working in the local language. Now, as far as the domain is concerned, I would like to inform all of you that domain is available .bharat CCTLD domain in all 22 official languages. So this .bharat, as .bharat is available in Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Bangla, Assamese, Sindhi. So these languages are available, and we are promoting domain by providing .bharat domain free along with .in domain. And when somebody purchase domain .in or .bharat, we also provide an email in local language free to the consumers. Now these are the efforts which are now paying us, and .bharat is one of the trusted and fastest growing domain in India. I just want to inform that Government of India has taken a decision to promote .in and .bharat within government, and now Sarkar.Bharat is now being given to all government agencies, central government, state government, PSUs, and independent agencies to work on it. The government websites are now getting converted into UA ready websites, where along with the domain, you can access those websites with your email and the browsers in local language. We are in touch with the hardware manufacturers, operating system manufacturers, the application developers to come and accept the UA readiness as part of them. As Ajay has already said, that it is not only a directive from the government, but I think if a businessman has to see, there is a commercial case that if you adopt UA readiness in your system, there is a big business opportunities which are waiting for you. And as has been said, that next 1 billion internet broadband users are going to come from local languages, not from English. There is another thing which we have seen, that the role of government is to develop the ecosystem. So we are trying to develop the ecosystem where the demand for the local language internet automatically grows. And once a demand comes, then there will be a pull system which will make you responsible to deliver those products to the consumer which they demand. So whether tomorrow we may like or we may not like it, we have to convert all our systems within our organizations and also the product and services which we are delivering to the consumer in local language. So I'm really thankful to FICCI who has taken this initiative to promote local languages digitally, and we are really thankful to ICANN also, that who are through USG and through various initiatives are promoting the digitization in local languages. Let me also inform audience that both ICANN as well as United Nations through IGF has kept universal acceptance and multilingual internet as the one of the top priority on which the entire ICANN and IGF is working on this. India is attached with it, and we within India, whether we are government or we are private industry or in academia, we are all committed to this, and we hope that India should lead the other leagues of the nation in adoption of UA readiness and giving example of multilingual digital internet to the whole world. With these words, I would like to stop here, and thanks FICCI for giving this opportunity, and I'm open for any query, any question from any audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anilji, for illustrating the importance how the multilingual internet is going to take the dominance not only in India but with respect to the whole world, and how, of course, when we talk about India, because India being one of the major players in the world for the various reasons, like I also mentioned in the starting. And like Aniji mentioned, 9 out of the 10 new internet subscribers would be the multilingual internet subscribers. So that's the numbers which we are working out in next 4-5 years. So it's a huge potential which we are working on. And we are very thankful to the government for supporting this initiative, for encouraging the players for doing the same, and also setting the examples. And we look forward to your continuous support in the initiatives. And thank you for joining us today. With these words, now I request Mr. Jia-Rong, he's a Vice President Stakeholder Engagement and a Managing Director APAC for ICANN, to kindly deliver his keynote address. Thank you, Jia, for joining us today. And thank you, Lena, for accompanying along with you. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Jia-Rong.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And I do apologize, my voice is a little bit hoarse because I'm a little bit under the weather. But it's a great honor to be here, to be back here again in Delhi. 2.5 years of COVID, no travel. Times have been hard for everybody, I'm very sure. But one of the things that kept us going, kept work going, was internet. I think that's something all of us can agree. So I'd like to talk about this. I'm going to share a few fast becoming old jokes, but I think the audience, some of you don't know me that well. So, you know, what skill, what COVID-19 skill did you pick up in the last 2.5 years? And for me, it was cooking. I spent a lot of time cooking dishes for my young children, my family, in the past 2.5 years. And my family thinks that I'm a talented cook. So they ask me, so some people ask me, what's my secret? And my secret is actually internet. Because I could serve for anything I want, right? Learn how to cook on the internet. And it's become a fundamental thing. Now, just quickly, first of all, formally, big thank you again to Vicky, to Sarika. Thank you so much for organizing this event. And thank you everybody for taking the time to join us. Again, very honored to be here and didn't expect that I would have my name right outside. But thank you so much for this, very honored. And also to share the stage with Ajay, Anil, and our UA ambassadors, Akshat, Harish. Second thing is they must have an address. So in our context, everybody, most of you would know names, IP addresses, and protocols are coordinated by this very strange organization none of you have heard of, which is called ICANN. Now, there is, in some ways, it's okay that people don't know ICANN, because we manage these. You know who builds your roads, right? Same context. But all this innovation that's happening on the internet requires be maintained well, and they can only be maintained well with global participation. And that's why we have on today's topic, specifically on universal acceptance, is a very important topic, which I will dive a little bit deeper. So coming back again, the domain name system, which includes domain names and IP addresses, is the fundamental glue of the internet that we are all using. And all this internet innovation we are excited about, Web3, Metaverse, AI, all of these is innovation. Very sexy, very exciting, maybe big money. All of these cannot happen if we don't have a single internet that ICANN helps to coordinate. Now, so it comes to then why is this topic that we are here to discuss today so important, right? It doesn't sound very sexy. It sounds very old. Again, an old joke now. Ajay has heard this before. My wife is a tech lawyer, and she laughs at me because she has done hundreds of blockchain projects for her clients, and she laughs at me and says that, you know, my husband works for ICANN, and he's a Web1 dinosaur. Nobody really cares for our space. But I'll share with you, very importantly, no innovation can happen without the rules. So same concept, right? So I hope everyone is with me. Now, another important thing is acceptance, just very quickly. So like Ajay mentioned earlier, domain names, we are all very familiar, right? .com, .net, .org, or the country code ones. We know they do. Not many people are very excited about them because, yeah, we have one Facebook.com. We use that, social media, Twitter, all these big tech, we're using that. So who cares about domain names? Why should we have more of them? And the thing I've got to think about also is the past 10 years of innovation focus on big tech. But what's the buzzword today? Decentralization, Web3. For decentralization, it also means that having more domain names allows for that decentralization. More domain names in your local languages allows for the decentralization. Content built from bottom up allows for that decentralization. There are issues related to social issues, security issues that will come with it. But we think about this buzzword, the infrastructure now on the DNS is available for decentralization going forward. So come back to IDNs. Basically, it just means domain names in other scripts. And like I said, we all know we have domain names now. Who cares about domain names in more scripts, right? So I'll use another joke. 1995, Bill Gates. At the time, people knew him more like a geek. Nobody really cared about him as well. He was invited to attend a night show, the David Letterman show. Not sure whether people know about it. It's kind of like a night show, which is quite a bit of a comedy. He goes on an interview, and people were making fun of him when he was talking about email. They laughed at him, you know, on the show. They laughed at him and said, why would I bother about email? I can write a mail and send it physically. Why would I use email? Fast forward 20 years, where are we today? Same question now regarding domain names. We may be laughed at. Oh yeah, you know, who cares about more domain names? But fast forward 20 years, you don't really know. So it really comes to fundamentally, we we are providing an infrastructure as a public service and allow innovation to happen. And we want to think of this space as, in a way, a public service. So it's something like what Anil is saying, we want to be able to bring people online. And the truth is, everyone who can come online so far has come online. So we know we have access to the mobile phones, they are a lot cheaper, you can access 3G and 4G, but there are people who are not online yet. So in the case of India, I had the honor of meeting Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar yesterday, and he talked about 800 million internet users in India today, targeting to bring the number up to 1.2 billion in the next very short term. In other countries like Bhutan, for example, more than 80% of people have access to infrastructure, phones, Wi-Fi, and so on. But under 50% are actual internet users. And then we ask the question, why? And language is one of the barriers to entry. So we come back to think about, it is partly a responsibility for us to provide the infrastructure so those who cannot come online will be able to. And it's talk about other, so that's one area. Now, if you're a business, you think, I'm not into public service, right? I'm more interested in business opportunity. So Ajay gave a very big number, 9 point something, 10 billion economic opportunity. I just use very small examples here in India for you to kind of feel where things are. So I just learned from Anil yesterday, there are 20,000 local language media outlets. 20,000. And it can be Hindi newspaper or Tamil newspaper, etc. All 20,000, very few, if not any, use an IDN, a local script domain name for people to access. In other words, if I cannot use English, how do I even go to the media, the Hindi newspaper? So I have to type English to go to the newspaper I want to read online. What if all of them change to be accessible by domain names in local scripts? That would drastically increase their readership, accessibility. The habits of how people will start to use their phones or their devices will change, because now I know every day I can read whatever I like in my own language without having to type English. 20,000. If you're a service provider, software developer, or even just website developer, want to help one media outlet upgrade their website, that's one project. 20,000 projects just waiting for you. Another one. There's 650,000 villages in India, and I know the vision by the Indian government to digitize 650,000 villages. If each village had its own internationalized domain name, its own website, 650,000 websites waiting for you, just for the website developers only. What about the e-commerce service on top of that? What about other services on top of that? Exponentially growing business opportunities. So I think I've spoken at length at the importance of domain names in local scripts. Now the issue, just as Ajay talked about, is we do have a problem, because the infrastructure only provides that baseline. So you can have domain names in local scripts, but when people want to actively use it, the programs, the applications have to code in such a way that they accept domain names in local scripts. And that's something we need time to build upon. We need people to know about it. So the typical engineer who's working on their application would think, yeah, in my mind, I know there's 32 top-level domains, ComNet, org, etc. There's the country top-level domains. So he just codes it this way and doesn't think about it very much. So then the boss may come and say, hey, so-and-so, I heard there's this thing, there's domain names in local scripts. Why don't you work on it? The natural reaction will be like, boss, nobody's using it. It's okay, we can wait. Yeah, but again, you're missing out on the 20,000 websites for the media, 650,000 opportunities. And wait for others to go first and come in and join the bandwagon later. So it's important for decision makers to be aware, and we need your help. How do we spread the word for decision makers? Because once decision makers agree that it's important, then it spills over. We can do the training. Vicky is helping with the training. We, as a whole group, want to provide training where there is a need. So we are happy to help for those. So we need your help really to let people know about it. Now talk a bit about not just India, but the region. Is definitely India will lead the way because it's a quite straightforward proposition for using local scripts for your domain names. Very straightforward. But I've spent the time traveling the region and talking to them because we need local communities to help us develop the rules for which character or letter can be a domain name. So I've been to all the countries and talked about internationalized domain names, IDNs, to all of them. And it remains a very important topic for a lot of the countries in our region. So fast forward, when I first started talking about this topic to today, within the region, we've formulated the rules for 28 scripts, and 19 of those scripts come from the APAC region. We work with them to determine, like, should the character or letter, can the character or letter be a domain name? For example, for Arabic, they have additional vowels, tones on top. Do you add that or do you remove that? In the case of Chinese, they have simplified versus traditional. Do you add that or do you remove that? So we've worked on quite a lot of that work, and a lot of big thanks to the community within India as well to work on the 22 languages. So there is a lot of potential in Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Myanmar, etc. Now, in just sharing one more thing in the region, China. In 2013, ICANN rolled out more domain names. As you mentioned, there are 1,200 top-level domains now. So China has about 50 more domain names, top-level domains, and many of them are in the Chinese script. Interestingly, domain names in Chinese script versus new top-level domains, that means domain names that's like .London, .Paris, .brand. In China, the ones that are using local scripts are doing better than the ones that are not. So you can see that there is a growth and a demand from China as well. Now, that's just the domain name side, but imagine from India, if you're providing services to not just India, but to the region, and you would see yourself as that. Again, that's a huge business opportunity. When you're already accepting domain names in other scripts, and let's say Sri Lanka wants to launch something, want to launch more websites, you can provide the service. In Bangladesh, if they want to launch more websites, you can provide the service as well. So again, it's really, the sky is the limit when it comes to this area. Now, I'll jump forward just to end with a couple of other points. So again, a big thank you to the support, again, from FICCI, Government of India. Next year, we will plan to come to India, and there will be a global UA day, Global Universal Acceptance Day, that we are expecting to do a major event. In fact, we will plan to do some lead-up conversations, pre-events, culminating into a UA Global Day. And the global event, we will plan for it to happen here in India. And again, a big thank you to this group for supporting that, and they're working on the planning together with me. More details will be shared, and I hope that you can join us and participate with us as we go towards UA Day next year. In the meantime, between now to UA Day, let us work on helping one another identify where the problems are. Because we could say, yes, it's a great idea to want to adopt, accept domain names in local scripts, but there are many problems in between. So even now, in India, the top 50 local websites, whether it's governments, media, academic websites, we did a study. Only 11% of the 50 local websites currently support internationalized domain names. So there's things that we can do. Would it be more training is required? Is it more awareness? What problems are you facing if we were to want to adopt domain names in local scripts in your system? We hope to have that conversation so that we can really identify where are the problems, where are the pain points, and work with you after Global Day to plan perhaps like a roadmap where we can really think about actionable items to really support you. Then we can really take universal acceptance forward. So I'll close with one last thing, which is, all of us can share quite different goals in our roles. If you're a business, like I said, you may be looking for business opportunity. Maybe for the academic institutions, we want multilingual internet for cultural preservation, for education. For the government, maybe it's more a bit of everything. Maybe having more people come online. But if you think of all these different goals, our goals are still aligned in the sense that we do want more people to come online, and that the next phase really would be a multilingual internet. As long as there are more people coming online, we will see a growth in domain names, and you will see more business opportunities. So with that, I hope that we can all share this same goal, this same vision, and work with one another to identify where are some of the issues or problems. And we will work together to help you, and we can help each other to truly realize that vision and leave nobody behind, and everybody can enjoy the benefits of the internet. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jia-Rong, for, of course, sharing your heart out on the multilingual internet and why UA and how it is important. In fact, how it opens up the new opportunities for everybody, and how the decentralization actually helps up in sparking up the innovation, and how UA can contribute in that is something which people can relate to it. And definitely we can say that as part of India, we would be happy to contribute in the best possible way with the support of ICANN and all stakeholders together from India. And for the UA Day, definitely, like we discussed, we would be more than happy to make it a really memorable one so that we launch it in a big way and we continue the thing in the coming years. So thank you for trusting us for the same, and we look forward to start announcing the details about the UA Day soon. And we all look forward to work with you for the same. And thank you for sharing your thoughts. As part of the discussions and awareness sessions, of course, as part of the work, it's the local initiative chapter, we are working on those areas with the members, and we are more than happy to hear further feedbacks, any suggestions. If you have for improvisation, your support, we were more than happy to take that from all of you. So please feel free to do so with us. With this, we will directly move on to the panel discussion. I know there's a small interaction. We are looking at it right now. So I would request the members of the panel discussion, Mr. Anil Kumar-Jain, Mr. Nitin Wali, Mr. Akshay Jyoti, Mr. Harish Chaudhary, and Ms. Liana to kindly please contribute in the discussions. And the session is being moderated by Dr. Ajay Data. This is more like an informal interaction. It's nothing like sharing your own views of the subject, which we are having hand in now. So a small interaction, followed by that we have a lunch and then the training session. So over to you, Dr. Ajay Data.
Thank you, Sarika, for this opportunity again. You heard some very important milestones which we all need to achieve to bring next billion people online. And one of them is universal acceptance as a part of the bigger umbrella, that is multilingual internet. So I think we can, there are two ways. If you have a query because you have just heard the speakers, if you have heard the speakers well, and if you have a query, then let us start with these question answers. Otherwise, my questions are ready to get fired. Any questions anyone have in the audience? Yes, please go ahead.
So by when I can see this transition done, like say multiplication at a university. Whereas we have a headcount for each country, especially.
Thank you. I wish that is an easy to answer question. So within ICANN, we've availed that infrastructure. So it's there. So the question for universal acceptance actually is kind of an ongoing, never-ending kind of process that we have to happen. So to start this, we need to reach a certain level of critical mass where the majority of software and applications are accepting domain names in local scripts. And right now, already, like I mentioned, the current statistics is 11%. So if we can grow it to more than 50%, then people will see that as the norm when you're coding. When you're writing code, you already think of it as a norm. But right now, at 11%, it won't be a norm. So all the software engineers who are now coding, they don't think about it at all. So the thing would be, what would be a good target for us, in my view, is to try to push towards a 60% target so that most people will then realize that this is now a norm. And then when you code going forward, all new applications coding going forward will become easy that way. So how do we push from 11% to 60%? This area is the challenge. And that's where we need to work with one another to identify where are the issues. So, I think awareness is one bit, but really identifying where are some of the roadblocks in between might really help us. Thank you.
Great answer. Anyone?
How actually education happens in the local domain, like local domain in the local language, with the existing network of the website or how actually they interact. I'm running software company working for government. So I don't know how we integrate those to be local language to be. Is it just redirection or what? With an existing application or
Anyone wants to answer? Okay. So actually, many people can answer this question. It is not a very difficult task to do it. Anybody who is hosting a website for you, if you ask him that we need to also run IDN, if you have two languages, for example, English and Hindi, then Hindi language can run on IDN and English can run on IDN, on the English domain name. It's a straightforward thing which can be done. Second thing is, when somebody visits English domain name and wishes to go on a Hindi, then it can, so one option is then just change the language in the same page, which happens now, but you can just switch this to the IDN. Another domain name, that's an IDN. IDN can be done in many ways. Redirection is one of them. Aliasing is one of them. Hosting the content separately is one of them.
analysis different for one domain and different for English domain.
Analysis of? Yeah, of course. So if content is different, the page is different. So anyway, it is going to be. You can use the same key.
It will be separated.
You can use the same key. Not a different, because the URLs are different, the content page is different, so it will be analyzed. We use the same key, it doesn't matter. You have to have the URLs. How do you structure the content is different part. So hosting a domain is a very straightforward thing. Anybody who has hosted for you will be able to immediately do that very, very quickly. It's no technical challenge per se from that perspective. Of course, one challenge comes, so let me put that also. Because when you promote, analytics is not the challenge. When you promote the content, then you have to promote both content for Hindi search and for English search. Right now, only English search we promote, right? But I have seen if we start promoting Hindi search, for example, then you start getting the traffic on Hindi content more rather than Hindi content promoting on an English URL. It really don't get that content much. Today, people have started searching through voice search more. So on phone, people are very simply put the square button and say, मेरे को अच्छी software company के बारे में बताइए, for example. And then अगर आपकी ये keywords mapped नहीं है, तो आप rank नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि आप तो सारा English पे ही हैं. तो वो हिंदी वाला भी अब आपने को ये करना पड़ेगा. And I think that's the reason new customer base is there. So if we need to address that new customer base, we have to. It is exactly like if you want to address a customer in Japan. How do you address it? Or a China? So unfortunately, we have 22 countries in one country. So we have to address them from that perspective. But it's a huge opportunity.
Thank you. Adding to what Ajay Data has said, although the web pages are different on the backside, but you can make them appear to be the same, for the user. We have a India IGF chapter. So you please visit indiaigf.in. There we have put the content in 13 languages. Or I think 15 languages.
And with 15 IDNs.
15 languages, and they are all in IDN. 13 Indian languages and 2 foreign languages. Now, if you go there, then it is first of all it is an English page, and then there is an option for language. The moment you say choose Tamil, automatically the entire website get converted into Tamil. So for the user, it appears that it gets converted with the same website. So it is a wonderful experience. Please visit and see. Thank you.
But to answer your question one more, because this is a very important question which you have asked. What Sir has said is a very good demonstration. But to my own experience, I don't think this is the use case. Why? We are solving a problem of a person who do not know English. So most probably he will not come to the English domain name. He will come to the Hindi domain name, right? And that's what is required to be live. So if the problem which we do normally in this case, you promoted the search engine with a Hindi IDN and then got him on a ASCII domain name, that is the blunder. You cannot get him on a ASCII domain name because he will lose the trust. He clicked on, let us say, ajaydata.com, ajaydata.bharat, and he comes on ajaydata.com, then you have lost him because he don't understand ajaydata.com at all. So key is that Hindi guy should not travel into the English territory. He should remain to that language territory. That is what the example is.
This solution provider, we can provide one skeleton and fetch the data as per the language. So that solution will be.
Yeah.
The skeleton should be single and it can fetch or.
वो तो I-89 standard है ही ना आपका, वो तो that you can even do. And this is an opportunity. Since you are a software company, I also run a technology company. It's an opportunity. That's the reason $10 billion opportunity is shown. So if you start making applications and websites which are UA ready, you can charge more for sure. And another thing, we can create a competitive advantage because not everybody understands about UA readiness. So both way it is beneficial from that perspective. Any other question? So my question starts from Anilji itself directly. Anilji, this is an opportunity which I cannot miss to listen from you for all of us. That and you are sharing a committee, I know, which is about multilingual internet, which you shared a little bit around it. So if you can share a little bit around what this policy can do for us, what we need to be prepared for in future, and how really we work in tandem with government to bring those people who are completely unconnected. Because at this, the mission of our Prime Minister is that nobody should be left behind. If we have to ensure that, then how this policy is going to help us?
Thank you, Ajay. We are working on the objective called breaking the language barrier on internet. And that is the basic theme of multilingual internet. We have divided the whole work into 2 parts. One is universal acceptance and another is the remaining part of the multilingual. In the universal acceptance, when we are talking about having the emails and domain in local languages, we know that the biggest force anywhere, this is one question which was asked from Jia and just before the panel started discussion, is that what are the targets for various countries about implementation of UA? We believe that, if government provides the biggest force in implementation of any technology, any process in any country. Why? Because government business is with everybody and it creates the maximum volume wherever we go. So the first target which we have kept here in implementation of UA is how many government websites will be converted as a UA ready. And of course, we have kept a equal target for the industry websites also to get converted into UA ready, so that everybody is on the same page. We have divided the whole work into time frames with the target which we go. It is not, without any target. So we have kept 3 targets for us. One is the short term, which we would like to finish within 3 months. Medium term, which we would like to finish in 18 months. And the long term, which we would like to finish within 3 years. So this is about the UA. So we hope that the 60% target which Jia is talking to us, I think India should be able to deliver this in 18 months. That is what we feel. And that is why I am confident that India should be able to lead the whole world in implementation of UA. The second aspect come about the other than the UA. That is what I said, that the keyboards, the hardware inside, the processing power, operating system, the languages, everything has to be converted into UA readiness. Without the entire ecosystem turning into this, it is difficult for us to do that. For this, of course, we are going to talk to all OEMs and the manufacturers to come on the board. And in case they need any support, the support can be financial support. Support can be the technical support, which is with respect to the trainings and other ecosystem. Support can be also from the providing the markets to those OEMs and to the industry. That Government of India or this multi-stakeholder concept will be providing those support to all of them, so that nobody is left behind in the system. So that is what we have planned. And the first step which Jia has mentioned, in his thing is that we are going to provide domain, emails, and website to all 650,000 villages in the country. And this is a support to Ministry of Culture, which they have started a project called Mera Gaon Meri Dharohar, where every village, the data for every village, whether it is a physical data, it is the data about the people which they have, the culture they are following, and various activities in the village which is happening. So we are going to put them in the website in local language using ID and domain, and we are also going to provide emails in their own language, so that the people of this village should be able to start interacting and start enjoying the digitization and internet in their own language. And we hope that with this particular initiative of 650,000 villages can create waves around the whole country. And we should be able to soon achieve this target. So this is what we are planning in the multilingual. Thank you.
Thank you, Anilji. Very elaborative answer, and this also tells us that we can visualize the universal acceptance getting promoted, and these websites will make a difference in people's life who need to come online. This is a huge initiative. Lera, can I ask you a question? Sure. And because you are the champion for communication, taking the message forward, you are ICANN's communication head for APAC. What are the things which we shall keep in mind, and how ICANN is trying to do to promote this part as a part of the universal acceptance and multilingual internet, which reaches to the right stakeholders? Because the challenges are, ultimately, we like it or not, our entire social media, facebook.com is a facebook.com, Twitter is twitter.com, go is go.com. How do I reach to the social media? How do we reach to the people who are not in the main internet? And that's the challenge Even if I have a website, for example, what Sir has just said, Mera Gaon, Mera Desh, for example, I have a website. How do I tell people in a small village about that website? How do we solve these language barriers to reach the communication with the masses?
You've asked a really tough question. How come they get the easy ones and I get the really, really tough ones? That's a really good question, and it's still in the works, I have to say. The global team, global comms team is working with various team members in the organization and also with UASG to try and work things out. I have to say, I think end of the day, it's all about identifying the different stakeholders that we need to talk to and the target audiences, and then trying to figure out where they sit and what is the best way to tell the story to them. Universal acceptance, you guys have done a really good job of explaining it today here. But what about beyond this, right? Who else needs to spread the word? And so Jia-Rong earlier mentioned and did a call out to everybody. We need your help to also spread the word, right? It's not just for you. It's also, whoever, the more we create the awareness, that's firstly the awareness of what it is, which Ajay Datta explain, and then we explain why it is important. Then we need to also create the demand for it, right? There's so much the government can do, but then there's a lot businesses can do and the developers can do. But at the end of the day, no one's going to use it. What's the whole point, right? So the end users also need to be aware that, hey, they can do this. And with the mobile phone penetration in India, everybody can be connected. Then the point is, what are they connecting to, right? What do we want them to do? If we say they can come online and connect, what are they connecting to? So we need them to understand this is available for them, for the native, for non-native English speakers, that they have this opportunity to be able to be the same. You don't have to understand English to be on the internet. This is going to be available to them, and perhaps it's understanding what kind of content they want. And then, so there's multi-fold. So as you can see, this is a really tough question because there's so much work to be done. There's so much that we can do. That's generating that demand, making sure they are aware of what the potential is. There's then making sure that the different parties are available, are ready to get the content ready and be available. And then there's the making sure the backend is ready. So it's a lot of work for us. We have to work hand in hand, make sure that we are aware of the different strategies the different markets are using, and then working hand in hand to use the right tools to tell the story and tell the story to all the different target audiences. I hope that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Liana. Yeah, actually, this is a tough one. Sorry to put you on the spot because I thought you're an expert of this area. But for India, I will give you my knowledge related of 2 cents, which can help us to get the strategy out of you. KPMG and Google did a study 3 years before in India. The YouTube content and the content which is published as an articles and news has surpassed more than English already in Indian region. And Hindi is obviously on the top of that content, which means that our material should be around, not on social media, should be around in the form of articles and the videos on YouTube. And that is microblogging is on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook may not be a very great thing, but YouTube content which can explain has moved further. This report you could see yourself available online. And another thing which our traditional mechanism which our government loves to reach out to the masses in a physical form to them by way of doing nukkad natak. I don't know what to say in English. Street plays. This street play business by government is a huge thing. I have seen for polio. I have seen for the Digital India campaigns. I have seen for cybersecurity campaigns. I have seen for blood donations. This is very common in India. So street plays about. So once we have a website, sir, on that village, probably these kind of things that have a street play in that village and let everybody know around it, because they will not know about that website otherwise, right? So we have to ensure that. So some of the ideas which you can think, and then you can obviously, but we have given you a food for thought also.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's a really good suggestion. And we are, that's part of the, what I meant by collaborating, and it's understanding what will work here in this market, where people are, where are they getting the content, and then we can help to develop the content, whether it's videos, it's articles, Jia-Rong talk about training. From my end, it will be that it's coming up with articles, relevant articles, videos if we need it, depending on which platform works, where we should put the content, how the content should be like, and so we're constantly trying to understand better, because these tools, I call them tools, keep popping up, right? There's so many different, so while you say social media is not the way, some social media may still work for us.
Yeah,
so we still keep an eye on it, but there's so many that's happening all the time, and there's so many is popping up. So that's where we need the local inputs as well. You guys, hopefully we share information, you tell us, and then we will try and deliver as well.
I'm a firm believer of rejecting nothing. I'm just when we say it might not work, it means less focus, but not reject it.
Yes.
For sure. I'm absolutely on, because we never know.
Yes.
Right? We actually never know about who is going to be coming from which side of the journey. Yeah. Great. Thank you very much. So Akshat, over to you now. You are our star here in India. You created with us an NPGP, a lot of groundwork there. Now you are an entrepreneurial journey yourself, right? So this is fantastic, and he's a resource which we can count on to do a lot of technical work for us. Akshat, in your region, you have been on both sides. You have been on a policy side. You have been building the standards for the country, like we worked in BGP and CDAC. Building the language standards is one part, which is the technology framework readiness. Another part is taking to the right audience. You will agree that whatever we have created has not reached to the masses, right? And has not made an impact. Still, we'll end up using Google for translation, for voice search, for text-to-speech. And we have our technologies. We keep hearing the newspapers from you, from CDAC presentations, from Government of India, Bharatiya presentation, how ready really we are, and how do we really take it to the masses to be ready that they are all available within Indian technologies and use it easily without depending on any other technology in the world.
Thank you, Dr. Data. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. There are so many things that can be said about this topic. I'll directly address your question first. Yes, through various government initiatives with CDAC's involvement, a lot of technology development has happened, enablement of people with the tools to input multilingual content. It's also very easily available. Even before Google, CDAC had made all those tools available. Google had made it more easier and in a more accessible manner, because in handheld devices, you could speak into it, you could OCR things and get the digital text out there, right? The only thing that the way you characterized it, that we are doing so many things, and we also clearly see the need that we're talking about, right? The only 1 billion people are on the internet bandwagon yet, and then if we look at the total size of the planet, there's still 6 billion left, but we are only talking about the next billion yet, right? And that's not a big ask, frankly, right? It should be doable. The way I see where is the problem is, I have a little theory, and I would just ask for some time for all of us. The two keywords that I want to put forth are, and they have been very much in the policy discourse already, top down and bottom up. right? And the way we always assume that IDNs and everything should be percolating to the masses is through the top down mostly, because we want big tech to take it up. We want big businesses, we want government to take it up, so that and then once we assume that once they do it, then it will reach the people. But if you see the evolution of English internet or the internet, the way it evolved, when it was introduced in the English speaking community. It did not get introduced to the entire world, which was the multilingual world, right? It got introduced into English speaking community. It thrived over there, but the true growth of internet happened when the economics got attached with that, right? And when the economics got attached, there were no awareness workshop to be conducted, literally nothing to do. What happened was everybody understood that I need to be here. I don't need to be made aware of why I need to be here, right? So one of the examples I would give, like there, to every adversity, there is a silver lining, right? So with COVID, we came up with the challenges of financial transactions being restricted and everything. And we see the success of UPI that is there. India is leading in digital transaction space with 80 billion transactions every year, which is way more than probably a lot of entire world put together, if I could say like that. And with that, we should know with COVID, almost the person at the last mile of the economic value chain has got a device in his hand who can use internet. Okay, the only problem is we want him to now use it through domain names and websites, right? And that's one of the biggest hurdles that has been already taken away. That there is a device in his hand already, right? There was a circulation image that is at the last village on the China border, which is considered to be one of the remotest part of the world. Even that has a UPI transaction possible. And we as a humanity should be extremely proud of that fact that, okay, we are already there. Now, only what we are discussing is how do we make the IDNs to be accessible from them. I'll come back to the top down and bottom up. So I said that English evolved into English speaking community and finance economics got attached, and then it grew, and then it didn't grow, it exploded, right? So the same approach, the way I see, could be taken for IDNs, because we are trying to thrust IDNs on those people who at this point, if I can use that word, they don't want it, because they already have their set business practices on the English internet and they don't want to disrupt that. But there is a huge amount of the number of people who are into small and medium businesses, and they definitely need it. How they are conducting their businesses currently on the internet is through their social media accounts. Are they into digital outreach? Yes. Now, do they use internet for various things? Yes. But they somehow do it through social media account. And with the recent big tech advances, like what is happening with Twitter and Facebook, and people are slowly becoming aware that social media account cannot be my mainstay. I have to bring my audience to my control, right? Tomorrow, maybe who knows? Elon Musk might shut off the Twitter, right? And what happens to your digital outreach through Twitter, right? So people must be made aware that you need to have your own space, and how those people would be doing that could happen on their own domains. And so I would strongly urge the entire community over here, and obviously there are many initiatives that we are already undertaking. We should look at small and medium businesses, their requirements. We should try to cater to their requirements. And once they begin attaching economic opportunities through the regional community, which often is the very, very local language speaking people. So for example, if we talk about agri-businesses, which are into selling of seeds and fertilizers, they often talk to their customers through WhatsApp or in pure local language. And if we track them, if we ask them, like, let's come over here, in many cases, they don't even think that having a domain name is their thing. They think that it's not for us, it's for big people, right? And this is where IDNs bring in an opportunity, the way I see. And we should definitely, if we have a synergistic approach towards the MSME Startup India goals, Digital India, and make the level playing field for MSMEs to have their own IDNs and assist in a very true way for multilingual content development, outreach, web security for them. Because when they come online, there will be a lot of challenges. I was talking to BC Jain sir a while ago, and web security for those people who would be quote unquote naive to all these things. If they come with a safety of not getting defrauded or something, then we really have a big business case. And maybe at this point, economic value that they bring individually may not be big, but the sheer number of the people that are there, the kind of economic value they would together bring is enormous. So I would say that the synergistic approach between MSMEs, our PKILI, and everything put together, we have a recipe for success for IDNs.
Yeah, so the answer which you're giving is let us attach some business part with this to automatically move in that direction.
Specifically small and medium businesses.
Yeah, Nathan.
Yes, sir.
You are.
I'm next on the firing line.
You are. You are a new baby in this dinosaur word, as Jia-Rong says. You are very soon become a dinosaur of ICANN. What is your very early take on a new person, unbiased, uncluttered, no views? How do you think, do we get a new idea, including the problem which I pushed to Liana? How do you see what we could do to really make it successful in India about universal acceptance and multilingual internet?
Perfect. So thank you, first of all, again, for inviting all of us here. Honor to be here and part of this esteemed panel here. I'll probably just go back 10 years. And for some of you folks who don't know me, I've been in the domain industry for about 13, 14 odd years. So I know a little bit about the domains. But having said that, 2012, 2013, when I used to be meeting with small businesses, and maybe this kind of comes to your point as well, Akshay. They used to ask me, is there a need to go online? Why should we go online? We have our own mom and pop store, we have our own businesses, we know our customers, we don't need to go online. And just fast forward that 10 years, 2022, there's not even a question of why I should go online, right? It's what are the ways we could get online, which is the best way I could actually look at customers coming in, analytics. And again, probably to the point that the gentleman was making around how do I look at those analytics? So those are all given. So I know the new normal is a very oft used, repeated phrase, but even on the online world now, that's the given, right? Having said that, there are multiple things that we still need to do, right? And we did talk about a lot of that in the room as well in terms of getting people on the internet. But yeah, to the business value case in terms of what needs to be done, I think there's a huge market, and again, that's a given. 1.4 billion people, hardly any people using IDNs. 300 million odd people, I think, are already on the English internet in the country. But that won't grow any further. I mean, that's the saturation limit. You'll probably get a couple of percentage points growing every year, but that's not doing much. The real chunk of the business, if you talk about it, and that's where the growth comes in, right, is going to be through people coming into local languages, small businesses adopting it, and going forward, right? In English, I'm sorry, I'm using English here, but having said that, in English, there's a colloquial term, it says, just follow the money, stupid, right? So as long as people see value, see money, see a commercial agenda behind it, if you may, all these things will actually fall in place. And having said that, even from an internet perspective, if you look at it, the internet itself has been very unidirectional for most of its growth, right? It's like you also pointed out earlier, it's just typing in an address and going there. And those who can't type can't get there. But again, over the last couple of years, that's changed dramatically, right? So if you look at even the internet pillars, it's not just typing in, right? It's 3 V's. It's voice, it's video, it's vernacular. Video is already done. Voice is pretty much getting there. And vernacular, I think we are in a very, very strong position to take a leadership stage there. So hopefully we'll do a lot of great things here in this room with the help of the community here and be the torch bearers for the multilingual internet in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Great answer from the very early entrant in this game. But you are not early because you said very clearly 13, 14 years in domain industry gives you much more knowledge than many of us here. Harish, as a UA ambassador in India, you have been doing lots of workshops, lots of meetings, part of the government things which you have been doing. where you see challenge in adoption, where you think what we can do more for breaking that line. Because we have been talking, UA is not new. UA is now 7 years old baby. But if we are we happy with the progress? Answer is no. Could we do we need to do more? Do we need to? Definitely. That's the reason I am trying to ask these questions and understand where is that line which is required to be followed to reach to that person, which need to be talked about, which need to reach. And when they do the workshops, how the results get converted, how do we measure that people are really, after the workshop, they're interested, how many people really made those changes if they're required or not? How do you do that? Tell us about it.
Thank you, sir, and thanks a lot for everybody inviting me here. And panel, because this panel is composed of very experienced people of this universal acceptance multilingual internet. So directly responding to your question, my experience related to the workshops. So I have done workshops globally as well as locally in India and also with the startups. These are the main focal points. And currently we are doing a lot of workshop with the help of UA local initiative and certain organizations with the academia. So the challenges I have seen that when we are doing the workshops, I have seen that a lot of startups, I have done in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. So there is a startup hub supported by government of Madhya Pradesh known as 36 Inc. And other startups that we have done in Jaipur, Bhamasha Auditorium, and there are other startups. So where I have seen that a lot of startups don't know about that this kind of facilities are available, that kind of opportunities are available. So wherein which I believe that we have to specifically target the startups, because then these startups of that particular region, they could actually, actually do the work on the, providing the solution and adoption, because their engineers and developers are actually working for the solution for the local area. The second thing on the basis in academia. So being a research scholar in one of the premium institution of Government of India, I have also found that academia is not aware of that kind of technologies present. What are the research issues behind it? Because we were discussing that without ICANN or without internet, there are no technologies, like Web3, blockchains you cannot use it. In the same way, without the academic research, the core depth research, we cannot, actually go to in certain areas which are not visible by, certain, which are not visible without the use of the scientific methods. So recently, I have seen that a lot of rise in the, papers or academic, conferences asking for the papers on universal acceptance. So in the recent one, there was a, IEEE International Symposium on Technology and Society. It was started in 1972. That is very old and reputed conference of the world. And basically it is organized at Hong Kong, and they are accepting, universal acceptance research papers. And because I was aware of this and also the universal acceptance ambassador, so my paper is accepted there, detailing all the issues which are relevant to, it also includes the, cyber security part, which we are not focusing right now, but let's say future is bright. So with the help of, when we are telling people what is universal acceptance, a small bit of, how to ensure cyber security on that, because those people who are actually going to adopt this technology are not very much cyber security literate, which is maybe common to cities as well. But so these are the 2 points. Then third one is, I believe that their banking sector, they actually want to communicate in the local language. I have seen that one of the major banks during my session at Madhya Pradesh 36 Inc. They said that we want to send the documents in local language. Not about content, but using the domain names and email address. But how do we do it? So we have to target the industry specific issues, then there would be a very good outputs rather. So we could have a broad based sessions, then we should have a specific sessions. So that would be really great. In addition to the academic research work, we should, I mean, with the support of ICANN, FICCI or NICSI, we could start up, a particular conference journal, which should be Scopus or Web of Science Index, real core academic work, to invite the research papers to actually come up with the, solution which could be adopted as a standard. So one more, point to this, because I am also fortunate enough to work at Internet Engineering Task Force, where these standards are made, and I'm fortunate enough to talk to John C. Clenson, who is the father of, you can say, is the one of the father of Internet. So he said that there are certain issues, the technology is there, but we may also see if there are some gaps left. Okay, so there is an internationalization directorate in IETF. So we may also approach that, we may initiate the standardization part. So we have to also work upon certain kind of a standardization. We could go to the Bureau of Indian Standards in India, and we should start one of the standardization cell in BIS, because they are the main body in India to go for this. And there is a they are actually working on that. So two most important point. As per the new education policy of Government of India, the multilingualism is one of the most important part. So that is where UASG and the UA effort would play a big role, as well as the Digital India 2.0. Again, multilingualism is a very important part. So we are focusing on a lot of them, but still there is a lot of gap, as I could see, and we could certainly fill it. We all are there, and with your support, we will definitely do it. Tomorrow we are doing a workshop, and Vice Chair of USG Group is also delivering a lecture online. So tomorrow we have collaborated with one of the academic institution, and on the 18th we are certainly doing it. And one of the premier institution of India, which is IIIT Hyderabad, International Institute of Information Technology, they have accepted our workshop in Big Data Analytics Conference, which is a very main area, but they requested and given the opportunity. So on the 19th of December, as ambassador, I'm also taking part in it. So these are the few, updates, as well as I hope I am able to answer the questions. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Harish, for that update. I think we will come back to Jia-Rong, and then I will come back to all of you for 30 seconds only for the final remarks after the Jia-Rong. So you can make up your mind, not more than 30 seconds, please. We are already shorted almost an hour. People are waiting for lunch. So no, not more than 30 seconds, but make up your comment for final for universal. The question for all of you is, how do we take universal acceptance issue to the masses in India? That's all. Nothing else for all of you. Jia-Rong, to you. And the question to you is, and then you can cover your 30 seconds part there only. ICANN obviously is multi-stakeholder, and ICANN is supporting, but we don't get that result what we intend to, right? 11%, as you're saying. And it's not a great progress in last 3 years. From 10 to 11 is no progress, right? Hardly. So in your experience as an MD FA, where do you think these challenges? Our ambassadors are making an effort, it is going to root zone, and all LGRs are going into, there is a community, but still we do not have that enough. How do we create that demand? What your mind says about it?
Thank you, Ajay. I think along the lines of your question about how do we bring universal acceptance to the masses, the question is similar. So one thought I do have is if we want to approach this issue in the conventional way, then we might not be addressing the problem. So kind of like what Akshat is saying. And I have a couple of thoughts here. So the first is I actually think in the context of India and in the context of startups, for example, this is the place for innovation. the top 10 unicorn startups in the world, most of them are from India in the past few years. Most of them are here. The track record is very clear. And the issue for us perhaps is not to think about IDNs and universal acceptance as from an economic perspective first, but think about it from a more use perspective, how people want to use it. For example, like, similar to what Akshay was saying earlier, like when I first was exposed to internet, it was IRC, Internet Relay Chat. My mom thought I was crazy. Like, why do you want to go online and talk to people you don't know? You don't even know who they are. And then, people who use that space, everyone is like, oh yeah, you're happy if somebody types 18F, then I'm 21M, but actually I was only like 14. So you have things like that, right? Now the issue here comes back to the masses. Perhaps is to think about if we avail this infrastructure and just give it to people and see what they do with it. And I think one starting point could be, like I mentioned earlier, there's 20,000 local language media. If we help them have their own IDNs and their readership would change. They could have more readership. Their current audience, the way they access online would be a bit different. We could see a change in their habits and how they access the media themselves. And start from there to see what are people's habits or preferences when it comes to going online using IDNs. That would inform us about how do we then build, based on those habits and preferences, then build economics out of it. That could be one way of doing it. Another one interesting, just a thought, because we are in the business community here, is, we think startups is one angle. But actually, if you are a big company, established company, I would also encourage you, why don't you try something like this? Some of you might have heard of this guy called Kevin O'Leary. He's a judge for Shark Tank. I actually don't watch Shark Tank, but I know him because he's in the cryptocurrency community, of which I am too, on a personal basis. How he got exposed to this was one of his interns told him about it, and he's the investor, everything. So he's like, Ajay, doesn't say no to anything. So he said, okay, why don't we try it? So his intern, he gave him $500,000 to play with Bitcoin. He never took back. Now the same concept could be in wondering or exploring how to make it fun for people to use IDNs and come online. One of your interns, very young, they would be the ones who use internet differently from us. Give them a small project, small fun, see what they want to do with it, and see where things go. And you never know, you might be surprised. That amount from your budget could be negligible, and you give it to them, and they could be the ones that really see adoption for internationalized domain names and really explode it. So just a couple of thoughts there. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jia-Rong. So we start 30 seconds from here. Nathan, your 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think Jia-Rong pretty much summed up things that can happen. But I think in terms of, obviously, a lot of stuff is already happening, a lot of action is happening in this market. But I personally feel, I think from a community perspective, I think if we can bring more people into the fold in terms of even understanding what is the capability of the UA or what is the capability of multilingual internet, and that would kind of fast forward in terms of what we can potentially achieve in the market. So I think, yeah, if we can do something around that, I think that would be a great way forward. So,
great. Yeah.
So my thoughts are very similar to Jia-Rong's in that, obviously coming from comms perspective, I think in terms of the media houses, media groups. So whether perhaps it's sitting down with the different media groups in India here, it could be with one particular media house, because I know some of them owns multiple newspapers, magazines, portals, or whatever. Or it could be getting all the different CEOs and owners or decision makers into a room and do a similar session like this, educating them on what this is, showing them the business opportunity, and asking them, do you want to be a part of it? and then let them tell us what they want.
Yeah.
What do they need to do? So maybe that's a start.
Good idea. Harish.
So, my thought is on you. So, I mean, yeah. So basically, my suggestion is mute kar do sir.
I feel generating demand is the most important thing. The generating demand for local internet. So I speak in in Hindi.
Yeah.
Mahari Bhasha Mein Internet. If we take this particular theme and let it goes in the mind of everybody that yes, internet can be available in local languages, then rest all of us will be ready for delivering that. That is what.
Just for Jia-Rong and Liana, what he said in Hindi, Bhari Bhasha Mein Internet, it means the internet in my own language. So this should be the phrase, this should be the theme on which we should work on. Final words, Jia-Rong, from your side.
Thank you. So ICANN has a tagline too, one world, one internet. So the internet is both local and global at the same time. So we help to make it global. People are using the internet. We have to make it local too. So let's work together.
Jensa, I want to give you 30 seconds. Just to introduce, Jensa is a very senior member in the Internet Governance Community, part of NOMCOM and ICANN, and many hats he wears. Please go ahead, Jensa.
Thank you. Basically, what I want to say, I pick up on what Jia said. For example, could we have an essay contest which local language is delivered over the ideas UAs, and then you reward them. This could be one very good initiative that it has to be idea from start till the end. And one of our forms of particular idea that we process this.
Yeah, and actually, this is a good idea for Anilji to in IIGF to incentivize these kind of things. Yeah.
Let me inform Jain sir, thank you very much for this. There is a contest which is open for all of us, right? In case we can publish any article in 1,000 words using local languages and put it on Wikipedia, there is a reward available from this already.
Great. So that's the problem we have, right? That's where we have Liana and everybody else. That's the whole problem. We have the solutions. We have Akshat sitting here. We have Nixie sitting here. We have the ideas. We have the solutions, but it does not reach to the right audience. That is the whole problem. The FICCI is organizing these talks so that it reaches to the masses. So I think thank you very much for joining. It comes to the closing remarks, ma'am. Right? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Data, and thank you everybody for sharing your views and everything. Like Anilji mentioned, Mari Bhasha Mein Internet, I would say, sir, to reach out that from our perspective, we believe in three things. One is, of course, communicate to reach it to the right people. I'll not say only to one stakeholder group, it can be multiple stakeholder groups. Collaborate so that you work with them and achieve the results, and then carry it out, basically conduct it. So basically, it's not just the talks. Basically, when you understand the thing, when you understand what do you need in your language and how we can implement it, then as part of the group, we are happy and we are able to help them out to conduct it. So I will say that these are the words with which I would like to sum up from the FICCI and local initiatives perspective, that communicate, collaborate, and then conduct. So that's something, and thank you all for joining us today. There are various other initiatives also. So in fact, Akshat, like we mentioned, you can definitely, like Ajay mentioned, please write up that paper. We can take it to local initiative, submit it officially to ICANN, and then definitely we will have some results. So please do that. And Anilji just did mention about the contest which is going on. So we encourage people to kindly participate. If you need any help, any further information on the same, we are happy to provide you that. So with this, we come to the conclusion of this interaction session and a panel discussion. Before we conclude, I would request Dr. Ajay Data to kindly give a green certificate to Mr. Jia-Rong. This is in lieu of the bouquets we used to give. So there are the thicket of trees which would be planted in your name, and it is at the periphery of the Sundarbans National Park, which is in West Bengal. So 5 trees in your name would be planted rather than the bouquet. So as a token of appreciation from on behalf of all of us, I would request Dr. Dita to, as a co-chair, to kindly give it to you. I would now request Mr. Anil Kumar Jainji to kindly hand over the green certificate to Ms. Liana Theo. Thank you, Liana, for joining us. And again, we have a group of trees planted in your name at the periphery of the Sundarbans National Park. Yeah, now I think. So you need to visit more to see it. So we yes. So with this, we come to the conclusion of this first half of the session. I know everybody has been waiting for the lunch. So lunch is being served at the banquet hall, which is adjacent to this one. And the training session post this session would happen in the same room, and we will meet after 45 minutes in the same room. Akshat would obviously take up the training, and we all would be there. May I request the people in the panel to kindly join us for one photograph?
Thank you.